Hello, everybody. It's your favorite HR buddy. Welcome to the Out of Office podcast brought to you by PaidHR. If you followed us on Twitter, this is an upgraded version. So imagine your iPhone moving to the next level. Today, we are having an exciting conversation around a topic that a side likes to talk about and a side do not like to talk about. So today we are talking about everything. We are talking about employee benefits beyond the basic. And I have two amazingly brilliant guests with me. An handsome guy and a gorgeous lady. Do you mind introducing yourself?
Hi, everyone. Hi, Emmanuel Faith. My name is Dara Ahmed. I lead the API marketplace business at Interswitch.
Hi, so my name is Dapo Awobukun. I am a startup partner at Paystack. I manage Paystack's relationship with the tech ecosystem on the continent. And then secondly, I do something called program management.
That's very fascinating. It looks like we should have another conversation where you guys come to talk about what you do. Or maybe you guys should write LinkedIn posts. Exactly. Okay, my name is Emmanuel Faith. I'm supposed to talk about what I do. I'm an HR consultant. I have almost a decade experience across different industries, and I've spent the last 6 years leading HR teams, specifically in tech companies. So I am your host, and I'm excited to be here. And of course, we are being hosted by PaidHR, your number one platform for end-to-end global lifecycle management of employees. So, you're looking to explore an HR platform, please check out PaidHR. Let's dive straight in, and I'm going to start with the simplest possible question.
Okay.
But before I do, tell us something random or a fun fact about you.
Fun fact about me. I like to read.
Just reading fun.
It's fun. Not you asking me. Not you asking me.
Yeah, so what was the last book you read?
The last book I read, it's been a while actually, because I've been very busy.
Capitalism, I understand that.
Exactly. But the last book I read, the title is The Idiots. Yes.
The Idiots.
It's fiction.
Okay. Have you seen Surrounded by Idiots?
No, I haven't. Well, it was written by a Russian writer. Really interesting, yes.
You're adventurous. Read books. We'll talk about books after.
All right.
Hi.
Something random or something fun?
Random, I don't know. I guess I've never been denied a visa.
Wow.
Show me
we
the
need
way.
to touch the hem of your garment. After this, we will come
Dapo,
up on street
I need to have conversations with you. You need to show me
the hem
the
of your
way.
garment. What grace is upon your life, sir? No, that's super inspiring. Do you like coach people? Oh my God, you're so modest.
I just expose myself to information online and I try to learn from other people's experiences. And then I think the top tip is I don't apply to get a visa that I think I'm not going to get.
Okay.
So if I'm going to apply, the application is going to be super strong, and at the end of the day, I just know before I get the result I'm going to get it.
Wow. That is
nice.
Not random, I promise. But that's a lot of fun. I can imagine the confidence every time you apply.
Yeah, just put in a strong application and then it just comes through. And
Mind blowing. Okay, let's come back to benefits. Yeah. That's a good place to kick off. Very random and very spontaneous. And it might be where you currently work or maybe one of your previous workplaces. But what's the most exciting benefits that you've received as an employee? Something that when it was implemented, you were like, oh my God, this is amazing. Or when you discovered that it existed. Who wants to go first? Dara. Why were you looking at that?
All right, so I'd say that I've been fortunate to work in amazing places, and I've enjoyed certain really nice perks. But I would say the one that made me wonder, like actually the one that stood out for me, I found it really interesting, was spousal benefits.
Okay.
Like, I think it's really amazing that, the company is thinking beyond the individual or the employee working for them to the spouse. Yeah. So, I find that really interesting.
Yeah, that's super inspiring. And when I was researching, preparing for this, I also thought that... So I read more, right, about spouse. And I think there was a company, I won't mention the name, and they had said that family contributes a lot to employees' productivity at work.
Exactly.
And it just made a lot of sense that there is some sort of provision for family too, because if your family is dysfunctional or your wife fights with you before going to work, you're not going to give your best work.
Yeah, that's very true.
That's progressive.
Very true.
Yeah, Dapo.
I guess mine was, I think it was. So your question is the most interesting.
Yeah, maybe it might not be even the most grand. Like sometimes it's not grand.
But this one is
just the thoughtfulness.
This one is grand, Sha.
I like it. I like it.
So,
that's why we are here.
So when I joined the company, I mean, I kind of thought, the package could be better, and then it was at the time when, the company had come to a place where they realized that, yes, we are still small, but we are growing, but we are trying to improve our package. And then they introduced, car grants. And then at the time, I was trying to change my car. So I just thought,
thank you,
I'm in this cool place. I think I'm going to be here for a while. Why not just take these car grants? That was really cool.
No, that's very forward thinking. And one of the places I've worked, I actually introduced a vehicle assistance policy, and I can give you the data.
Yeah.
There was an 80% increase in the number of car owners in the first 6 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
Till date. I left the company 2 years ago, and they still pray for me.
Yeah.
Because they were able to edge against inflation.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so
and guess what? That also helps, because then for the company, that benefit is a retention tool.
Yes.
Because you have a period over which you have to enjoy that benefit. And if you are going to leave the company within that period, then you have to pay back.
True.
And so...
Do you know what? I think I'm going to give you a medal, because you just went straight into the meat of this matter. So I'm going to go straight to my next question, which is, what do you guys generally think about benefits? We are talking about benefit beyond the basic. So we are not here to talk about HMO, because if any complaint, how many of us get angry when we see job descriptions? I just see benefits, HMO, laptop. No, am I supposed to use my kids to work? Right. So when you think about benefits and then benefits beyond the basics, what are the random thoughts that come to mind? You can say thoughts, you can say clauses, you can say sentences. What comes to mind?
All right. So some of the benefits that would come to mind for me would be travel allowance.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good addition. Stock options, RSUs, shares, crutch. Some again catering to family. Some institutions, some companies actually have provisions for a crutch for kids, a daycare.
Or at least crutch allowance, maybe.
Or that transport allowance, housing allowance, grants, those things. Yes.
Great.
I think I would not want to repeat the things she has said.
Yes,
so in addition,
one or two,
in addition to that, the one that really that I really enjoyed, I think it was about 2 years ago, but the benefit is still on. It's so we have if you've spent 3 years at Paystack, you are entitled to go on a 3 month
sabbatical,
paid sabbatical. Yes. And so I thought that was really, it was a clincher for me. When I took mine, I think I took it about 2 years ago. I took it and I just spent it just reflecting about, what I wanted to do next in my career. Prior to the sabbatical, I'd spent a little over 4 years in my previous role. And it had gotten to that time in my career where I was about to do something else. And it just allowed me, that 3 months allowed me to, introspect, to, take courses, to just up-level myself in preparation for, the new role that I was eyeing. And then, it was just a very refreshing period for me. When you just wake up and you are just unemployed. but at the end of the month,
God, I beg. God, people have checked me before.
Your pay is hitting. That was really cool. And then I came back, I was refreshed. I came back into a new role. It was really refreshing. And then I sort of just started off.
No, I love that. And if you're a founder and you're watching this, or you're an HR manager, a senior HR manager, that's probably, a major point that you should take note of. And I would just go to the next question. I will start from you.
So just cut in. I think one benefit that is often overlooked is mental health care. So access to mental health care is something that a lot of employees benefit from. I think the American Psychological Association, they conducted a survey in 2022, and it showed that up to 71% of the employees that took the survey said they value employers that value their mental health and make provisions, for their mental health care. I remember a time where I was working in a company that actually made provisions for mental health care. And while I was dealing with stress from work-related stress, I was dealing with tons of anxiety. That allowed me, get through that and be better because I had access to that. And it's something I wouldn't take for granted. I think a lot of companies are now opening up to providing mental health care to employees. And I think it's a great initiative that more companies should adopt.
No, that's forward thinking. That's very progressive, and I'm glad that you even spotlighted mental health. I mean, gone are the days when they think that depression is not a thing, right? And shout out to that company.
Burnout is Are they kidding? Burnout,
right? And I think that talking about an HR POV now, I think that sometimes for employees, it's not even that they will use it. It's the satisfaction, the assurance that it's there.
Spot on.
If I want to use it.
If I want to use it. The funny thing is, a lot of employees use it, especially the younger employees, like younger millennials, Gen Zs. They use it.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
So if you're a founder, you're an HR manager, those are things that you should actively consider if you're not considering yet. And I'm glad that I'm going to the next point now, which is I want you guys to talk a bit about just the benefits of benefits. If there's something like that. Why should HR managers actively think beyond? Because it's a cost, right? But then what are the benefits of this course? I know that you had mentioned retention. And
exactly.
Yeah, so you guys can just talk through. You guys have been beneficiaries. You've received a lot of amazing, outstanding benefits from different companies. But what are the advantages?
Yeah, I guess another beyond retention, I think another one is just improved morale, improved employee morale. Then there is just trust. It fosters trust between the employer and the employee. Then what other benefits? Yeah, increased productivity, because when your morale is high, you're motivated. You bring your best self to work. And as an employer, what you are really trying to do is you are trying to put in place all of the factors that would allow you to bring the best out of this, talented employee that you have. Because, when you put humans and machines together, the difference between humans and machines is that machines would be very consistent.
Yeah.
Right? They are not emotional.
Yeah.
They are not social. They are just
to do
whatever you've programmed them to do. They would do it. They would do it very well without fail 24/7. In the case of humans are complex. Humans are tough to deal with, right? Humans will have mood swings, right? Humans might wake up on the wrong side of the bed. They might wake up on a Monday and they are just not feeling up to it.
Yeah.
And so as an employee, it is now your job to just, figure out the things that you need to be doing to make sure this person is always in the right frame of mind to, do their best work, to bring their best self to work. And so benefits, benefit of benefit. This is one of the benefit of benefits is that you will be able to just get the best out of them.
That's I'm learning. I mean, like, I'm an HR manager, and I'm literally learning. I look forward. Everybody knows I look up to Paystack. I did a lot of work, just secret. I hope they cut this place out. When I was at Carrywise, Paystack was that company I modeled. Right. I modeled after, and a lot of forward-thinking benefits I implemented.
That's not a bad thing, to be honest.
Right.
Like, everybody draws inspiration from nothing. No idea is original.
Right.
Like, even Paystack itself, Shola says it every time that he needed Stripe to work here on Africa.Stripe didn't work, and he just went ahead and he just built it,
right?
You know,
Yes,
because it's something that needed to exist. Exactly. And so there's products that we've built at Paystack that we took inspiration from Stripe. There's products that have been built at Stripe that they took inspiration from Paystack payment pages, right? It was Paystack's original idea, and you know, if you see something that is good, there's no.
Thank you for that permission. I'm gonna come back to you because I have an additional question, but I want to hear Dara's thoughts quickly. Yeah. So
I think,
what are the benefits of benefits?
I think Dapo has covered like a lot of it. I would say increased productivity, right? Because if the employees are not in the right frame of mind, like he said, employees they're not machines, right? If employees are not in the right frame of mind, it's difficult for them to give 100%. And again, people do not come to work 100% every single day. So putting the right things in place, putting the right benefits in place would make it easier for people to, you know, give more and be a lot more productive. And there's something about knowing that the employer you work for cares for your well-being. I know a lot of companies say they care.
But
HR, but do they show it?
Don't worry, it's fine. I'll take all the
not you. But do they show it? Do they show it? It's one thing to say, it's another thing to show it. And when you know one of the ways the company shows they care for you and they think about your well-being is by putting in place benefits that would cater to you and make sure that you know you're in your most optimal state to deliver results. So yeah, I think I'm going to agree with most of the things he said. He said, covered every other thing.
Thank you very much. Yeah. And like if you're a founder, you're an HR manager, and you think that, and that's also one challenge I have with a lot of founders because they think I'm pro-employee. I'm technically pro your business because you've heard from the employees. When you implement these things, you get rewards, you get employee loyalty, you get retention, you get employees that deliver their best work at work. So we think your benefits if you're listening to this. So we've highlighted a lot of things, employee happiness, productivity, retention, loyalty. So Dapo, I'm going to pick on you. Don't worry, it's not hard, I promise. Why are Paystack staff so loyal?
I think it is for some of these things that I said, but more importantly, I think the chief of it is a reflection of the leadership of the company. People don't leave companies; they leave terrible managers. When I left. When I left my previous job, it was just because I did not think I was well managed. And so I took a bet on Paystack. What I had imagined before I joined the company was not even what I met. What I met was more. It was way better than what I'd imagined, you know. And it was... What gets you to commit is just that general sense of ownership, that general sense of this mission. We all have a shared responsibility in accomplishing this mission. I don't feel like I'm working for an individual. I feel like I have a piece of the shared responsibility that I'm just supposed to do and do very well. And because the leaders of the company, they also give you that agency, they give you that autonomy. You know, you also feel like you're part of
I can do this.
You can make decisions, you're empowered to make decisions, and above all, you just know that they genuinely care, right? they are not selfish people. You know, they look after everybody's well-being, and they just genuinely care. I think that is.
That's the peak.
That's it.
Thanks for spotlighting that. We've talked a lot about the benefits of benefits, and from another stakeholder perspective, I want to talk about maybe challenges of implementing benefits. But before I go into that, let's play a quick game, right? So if you've been listening, this is where you take a glass of water or something. So I'm just going to throw random questions. An increase of your leave days from 21 days to 28 days, or of your leave allowance from 100% of what it is to 125% of what it is.
Can I ask a question?
You're a strategist. I know.
No. What is leave allowance? Is it that people have the option to monetize?
No. Please, not leave monetization. Okay. So normally when you go on leave, some companies, again, we are talking about benefits beyond basic. So some companies, when you go on leave, they give you an equivalent, a percentage of your salary, not an equivalent. Some people do 25%, some people do 50%, some people do 75%, some people actually do 100%. So they give you 100% of your salary as you're going on leave. Some people equalize it as 13th salary. So they don't give you when you're going on leave, but at the end of the year, they give you as 13th salary. So in December, as you collect your salary, you collect another salary.
Is that what they call 13th month?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So 13th month is leave allowance.
Yeah, some company structure is that.
And
they make a lot of noise about it.
No, yeah, so I guess generally the way, yeah, I guess
very structured.
It's it feels like bonus.
Oh, well, shout out to PaidHR for hosting us on this conversation. You guys are learning more about HR. Thanks to PaidHR and thanks to me.
Now, this has opened my eyes something.
Right.
I used to think it was bonus.
Guys, that's what we do. That's why we are HR managers, you know. So we call it EVP, employee.
I'm going to need to talk to you. I would need to have a word with my HR.
It's not me. You don't hear it from you. Okay, yeah, so back to answer my question. Which will you pick? 21 to 28 days or 100% to 125%? I mean, I don't know you guys' net pay, but I know what I would pick.
I think I would pick the increase in the leave allowance.
Okay.
Yeah, over the leave days.
Ah.
I barely finish my leave days. I try to.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
but
we need to talk after this. I need to help you plan your next leave. And give you ideas of things.
These days I do. I do.
Okay.
But I take the increase in the allowance.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the same for me. And that's because for me, I find that during the course of the year, it just never occurs to me to go and leave. And so what usually happens is my leave days now accumulate. And then at the end of the year, I'll just be like, you know what?
I'm going to use up this leave. It's not going to go to next
it's not benefiting me that I'm not taking this leave. And so I will just take everything, at once. But I feel like if there was an option to
equalize.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think just free learning, I think that most companies deliberately do not give that option to equalize because they know that Nigerians will like money and that's what we'll choose. And just also another bit of learning because again, this is also like a knowledge sharing podcast. I wasn't surprised at your responses. If you guys were Europeans, your responses will be different.
Yeah.
Europeans will pick
mental health.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I'm working on a global policy right now and I'm taking an international survey and of course the Europeans
it's
are
cultural.
All this, right? But Nigeria, so it's like cultural nuance. Nigeria is very close to America in terms of capitalism
mentality,
perspective
yes.
to work, while European is European. So imagine your friend in France, like those that you don't
Italy.
God bless you. Lunch is 1 to 2.
No stress.
Nothing happens between that 1 to 2, right? Versus Nigeria that eats breakfast at 6 p.m. You now tweet, "I child deck have you delivered?"
But I find it interesting when you go to other countries in Africa that there's a cultural difference in the, should I say, energy?
Approach to work? Yeah,
yes.
Energy to work.
The neighboring countries, they are more chill.
Yes.
They like their mental health. They take things very easy.
Yes.
But Nigeria here, it is move, money.
No, so I mean I can answer that again because I've managed intercontinental employees. One is our colonizers. So if you notice, Francophone colonized countries are like very, very relaxed because that French acculturation is just deep in them. Then secondly, Nigerians, things are chasing us.
Even some Anglophone African countries,
like Ghana.
though. I don't want to
Like
call
Ghana.
it.
Ghana, don't worry, call them. I have friends there, I can drag them. Ghana and Kenya, my God. Let me tell you what happened. I was supposed to be a guest on an international podcast. And then, I joined them, sent a message, I heard everything. And then 20 minutes in, they were not there. I'm like, what's going on, right? Yeah, so I just think that, like, for Nigerians, we are very, very capitalist-driven and stuff. Okay, great. So I think that we have to talk after. I need to help you plan your next set of leave days. So why don't you finish your leave days?
So, I would say that was like a former habit, really. In my new company where I now work, all right, we are mandated to take our leave days.
God bless them.
I think HR sent.
Yeah,
HR sent.
God bless you.
HR sent an email. Like everyone has to mandatorily plan your leave and go on leave, and they take it the extra mile by making sure that when you're on leave, you have no access to your work tools.
Wow.
So your email, the Teams, nothing. You can't access any of those things. So your leave, you're off.
You must
You're
leave.
really off.
You don't want to leave. You must leave. That leave.
So I
you
think,
must leave.
to be honest, I think it is a good way to help people who are maybe they work extra or workaholics.
Yeah, like
it's
Dara.
very easy to. I never said I
Dara
was.
Dapo.
It's very easy to be caught in the day-to-day, so much so that you actually forget to plan your leave. I've worked in startups before I moved to Interswitch, and that had been my experience. And you enjoy the work. You see, you see the things that
impact,
need
you
to
see
be
the
done.
results, and
You
like,
see the impact.
if
You
I
see
go,
the
who will do
results.
this?
Exactly. You don't want to. So you just do not go. So that's what happens. But now I'm in a system where you are actually mandated to go on leave, and then they make sure that during the period you're off, your devices are also off.
I loved the reference to the word system, and I would come back to that. But why, sir, exceptional IC, sir. Why do you wait to the end of the year?
So,
Very
point
different.
of correct, it's not because I'm a workaholic. I don't think of myself as a workaholic. I think it's just mostly because at every point you just feel like, saying you want to go and live with like a list of things that are looking you in the eyes, some of which you've not done, is just kicking down the can.
Still coming back to
exactly. You will come back and then you want to get it off. But one thing you will now quickly also learn is that work never finishes. There
True,
would
very
always
true.
be something to do.
work no dey finish.
And so it is in that spirit that, I just always catch myself being like, I'm not sick. What am I taking the leave for? Why do I want to disrupt my workflow? How about I just take things easy and just continue until I really need the leave? And so there will be times during the course of the year when I have a genuine need for the leave. Like there is, I need to attend to a family function. I need to travel. I need to, there will be things that I would need the leave for. I don't now want to have those needs and then I've exhausted my leave days just chilling. So that's what I usually find.
I'm going to text Christine. I'll say, Christine, you need to double down. Dapo specifically needs to use up his leave days. So I know that we've talked a lot about benefits, and I want to spotlight, but just before then, and I'm saying this because, I think I can say this. So I consult for funders, upcoming funders, Proceed. Proceed mostly. And then NGO funders. I particularly like NGO because they are very responsive to people management and they pay attention. Maybe because they are volunteer driven, right? Yeah. So one of the challenges I've had with funders is it's money. Why should I spend extra money? And they also think that employees are not entitled. Like immediately they do the basic. I remember one funder was asking me, why should I do HMO?
No.
Right. So do you think that employees deserve to do anything extra to earn benefits, or is it something that should be ingrained? We've already talked about the advantage, but I just feel like we should hammer on it so that, So what are your thoughts? Should employees earn benefits, or should it be like just ingrained?
I feel like some benefits should be ingrained. it should not be up for debate. Like you just mentioned HMO, that shouldn't be up for debate. That should be ingrained, right? I think some benefits should be discretionary, right? I know 13th month, some companies give 13th month every year. Some companies make it discretionary. If the company didn't perform well during the year, they might withhold. Do you understand? So some benefits should be discretionary. Others should be ingrained. Definitely.
Great. Yeah. Dapo.
I think the way I'm going to answer that is to say that I guess as a company, the quality of output and the quality of employees that you want should determine the kinds of benefits that you. I mean, if you want to withhold benefits, go ahead.
Very true.
I mean, that is going to reflect the quality of talent that you would attract, because the bar globally has been.
I love it.
Yeah. So let me play devil's advocate.
Okay.
Right. I totally agree with you, but again, you're speaking from a Paystack point of view.
It's not Paystack point of view.
No. You have money. Like companies,
I love it. I like how this is going.
You have money. For instance, say a startup, right? Maybe they're running on VC funds. Maybe they're yet to raise. There's some benefits that they should implement or some nice to haves, right? Like benefits we've mentioned outside of the basics that they would like to implement, but at this time they really cannot afford to, because you're asking about the challenges, why some of these companies can't implement the benefits. At the phase they're in, they may not be able to afford to if they are kind people and not greedy, and employers that think.
Like the word.
I don't agree.
Hold on. They then can find alternatives.
Yeah.
Say, we're looking to move from here to here, but not here yet. But we can give you stock options.
Exactly.
Do you understand? Right? No, don't worry. I'm not.
No, you're hammering.
I can't be fighting my team.
Because guess what?
Yeah.
I can't be fighting my team. So
Paystack wasn't always like this when I joined.
Exactly.
I joined Paystack at a different
level.
At a different phase of the company. As a matter of fact, when I signed my offer at Paystack,
Like how long?
Paystack had not announced their Series A.
Wow.
So I signed the offer thinking I was joining a company that has just raised a seed round, operating out of Africa, earning revenue in Naira. And so when I went into my negotiation,
that was the main thing.
That was the mindset.
Oh, wow.
And so I was I was very empathetic. My joining Paystack, I took several my pay slashed by 5x, but it was a choice. Wow. It was not because of benefits, which is why I said I don't necessarily agree. It's about the thoughts. It's about the genuineness. Yeah. You can see where they are, and you can meet them there to say, oh, you are not there yet, but you've shown
traces.
Signs. You've shown the willingness to actually look out for my welfare. And so it was just all about, this wage, this salary that I'm earning now, what is it going, is it just enough for me to just leave? Yeah. Just leave. I mean, I won't be able to do anything excessive. Just live, my regular life and just come to work, live my life, come to work, will it be enough? Yes, I know. Is this a phase? It is a phase, right? I know that if I stay diligent, things would continue to get better. When people stay diligent, put their head down, do their work, it's a natural law of the universe that things would naturally just get better. And that was what happened. I didn't even know, it was not that I did not join Paystack because I thought Paystack was going to get acquired. Who knew? Like, an acquisition had never happened in Nigeria now. I just, when you see a rocket ship,
you just
you don't ask if it is window seats that they are giving you. Or, you just hop on it. And that was what I mean.
It's speeding and it's going in the right direction.
I thought it was going to be a great company at that stage, and I took a chance. And it paid off during the acquisition because, during all of that, big pay that I did not get in the early days now,
massively,
it was like a reward, and so... which is why I don't agree when people want to make the argument that we are still small, we can't. Nobody is asking you to pay Amroba salary.
There are other things you can actually add to cushion. Exactly.
For
so
instance,
that's what I was going to.
At that stage, that Paystack was even offering car grants.
Wow.
They found a way to make it work.
They found a way to make it work, right? So, exactly, we're saying the same thing, right? You might not be able to give money in compensation at the stage that you are, but there are other benefits that, can be added. And one of those stock options, and there are other things. Still going back to this issue of car grants, at the time Paystack was at the phase they were in, one thing about Paystack is the growth has been remarkable. They're solving real problems and they're making money at it, and we love to see it, right? I've worked in startups where, yes, you get funding. Maybe I won't mention, but you get funding, right? And then you have expenses and other things to do. And you put out all these amazing benefits initially, maybe car grants, house grants, and whatnot. And at some point, they had to start cutting back because they were looking at their expenditure and they were looking at how much the company was making. And they're like, we need to make certain adjustments. But that doesn't take away something very important. It is important to know that your employers care, not by word of mouth. And when they care, they would always make arrangements or make benefits that would cushion that. So now, bringing it back to what we're talking about, which is the challenge, which is why won't they be able to do this? If they're not bad people.
Exactly.
If they're not bad people.
And if they have bad mentality.
And if they don't have bad mentality, why wouldn't they be able to do this? For every startup I've worked in, that maybe they had to cut back on one or two just to keep heads afloat. They give you stock options, they give you other things that make you have a stake, other things that show that they care about your welfare, other things they can do or put in place. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So I think it's all about genuinely having the best interest of your employees at heart. When you do that, you definitely come up with benefits that'll make their lives easier.
I mean, you guys have said it all. I feel like I don't even have to make a comment anymore. But just one thing I wanted to say, especially if you're like an HR manager or a founder, there are also some things that are sort of long-term benefits and there are not a lot of costs. So my background is in economics, so I know a lot of finance. For instance, when we give like car grants, we are not spending money, even though you look like you're spending money.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, I'm giving you money out of my operating expenses that you're going to pay back over the next 30 months.
Sure.
So I have that money that is sitting anyway. Right, but what is happening is I'm maximizing that money to provide the best experience for my employees. While keeping my employees for the tenure that they are paying back the loan.
Yeah.
Same thing with our relocation allowance. Same thing with gadget allowance. Same thing whatever. So I think that, and just what told the HRs right there, I think that we need to be more strategic and we need to be also very data driven. Founders might come across as evil, but they listen to numbers. They look at numbers. And if you're smart, you're strategic, and you're able to say, hey, this is the number. Because let me tell you guys why I implemented car allowance at CarWise. Our devs were coming late to work. And they were coming late to work and they were going back to home early because they don't want to be like nabbed or robbed or something, or just face has the driver cancelled, has the driver not cancelled. And like my logic was, if people have their own right, they can come in 12 p.m. and work till 11 p.m. Or they can come in 8 a.m. and leave the office by 4 p.m. They would have to, they won't depend on a third party. And so having their own right increases their productivity. When I implemented relocation after allowance, I wanted CarWise to be able to recruit out of Lagos. In fact, what happened was I hired a talent who lived in Port Harcourt. And she said, the only reason why I would move to Lagos is if you give me a job and if you provide my accommodation. I'm like, okay, if a talent has this problem, how many talents have I not hired that would have this problem in the nearest future? Let me just make this a policy as against a one-off thing. So, dear HRs, I think that you should be very strategic. Use your numbers, use your data to drive decisions. And when you're speaking to founders, just don't be emotional. Don't come from an emotional perspective. Paint the logic. If we implement this is what it would lead to, and that stuff.
Question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
When you implemented the car grant, what was the impact, or what was the results?
One, we had heightened productivity. People spent more time in the office actually, because people now GRA was always full with our cars, so people knew that. So engineers will literally talk to themselves and say, all of us have to come to the office today by 2 p.m. And so those that stayed in Lekki and Aja and those that stayed at the Anapaja all of them came to GRA by 2 p.m. because they drive their own car, right? Yeah, so it was heightened productivity. It was people collaborated better, stuff and things like that. Yes, so it was of all the things aside the employee engagement, the on-site bonding. One thing was Sprint moved faster. Sprint that they will spend 2 weeks doing because a lot of hours was spent in the office. Something that will take 8 hours, take 4 to 5 hours, and they are done. Right?
Nice.
Yeah, right.
I see.
Yeah. So and then if you're like I feel like I've schooled HR a lot, but yeah, if you're an HR, managers, you're a founder, and then you are thinking around these benefit things, and you do not know how to go about it. Guess what? That's why we are here. That's what PaidHR does, right? PaidHR runs a lot of, earned wage access programs, extra benefits, and then you just Google PaidHR, stop by their website, send them a DM on the IG or Twitter. Their customer will give you a free consultation, and then you'll be able to explore an array of their benefits. So use PaidHR today. Thank you. Okay, great. Yeah, so I know that we've had to and fro around a lot of exciting benefits, and we narrowed down on the vehicle assistance policy, because that's what it was in my previous workplace. So yeah, in this, given the current economic reality, do you think that that's a sustainable benefit? Or do you think that founders should just continue to think about things that will meet their employee needs, given the current reality?
I guess, for me, I think it depends. It depends on what lens you are looking at it from. The employee that you are trying to, motivate, that you are trying to make happy, they have different needs, right? And on the topic of car grants, the utility to the employee is not just transportation. It has its
Social status.
Yeah. What's that thing? Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
So
there is a part of that need that a lot of us, we grew up wanting to own our cars, and it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart these days that you see the average hardworking person.
Yes, I'm hardworking, and I don't.
That can no longer. It is increasingly becoming out of reach.
Yes.
Right? And so it's not just about the fact that, the economy, the cost of gasoline is,
continuously
it's on the rise. It still doesn't stop the fact that I like to drive my car. I don't go out a lot, but whenever I want to go out, I want to get in my car and I want to have a nice drive, and
so you don't think that it's
yes,
out of reach?
there's the economics of it. There's the economics of, filling the gas, but there's no world where that ever stops me from driving my car.
You're going to spend that money on share rides anyway.
Exactly.
I can't tell you how much I've spent.
And I had colleagues.
Please, I have to send my invoice.
Early days, I had colleagues early days that used to debate, because I've always been an advocate of no matter how much parsimonious you get, or no matter how much accounting or economics, right? At the end of the day, taking rides is going to be more expensive,
True, very true.
Than owning your own car. Just at the end of the day, what you need to do is, find you don't have to go luxury, you don't have to go luxurious. Find a regular, nice car that is in a good condition and is super, super reliable, and, fueling it is not going to cost you. Fueling or maintaining it is not going to cost you more than, you are going to spend on Bolt or Uber. And so I think that, giving employees the route to actually own their cars, or, if home ownership is not something that people can attain yet. Giving them a route to own their own cars is something that, employees would really, really appreciate.
Great. Dara, do you align?
Yes, I do align. I don't think that, of course, things are hard. Really, things are hard. So getting gas, ideally, should not be the reason why you can't provide your employees with, car grants, because you're thinking, okay, then how will they fill the car? Wouldn't that just be useless eventually. But from what I've seen, our economy is not a joke.
Yeah, it's not.
And I'll be very practical using my office as an example. So my office, we do hybrid work, right? So we have people who drive to work and whatnot. As of last year, you can't compare the way things are last year and this year. And this conversation of a car, we can't have it, or the conversation of cars, really, car grants, we can't have it without looking at the economy, what realistically it is, how much it will take you to buy a simple small car. 2 years ago,
3 years,
3 years back, is not exactly it's not what it is today. What the company would have given you as a grant 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that comfortably get you a car, it will not be able to. So bringing it back to like my experience, what I see with my colleagues, some of them, a good number of them, who used to drive previously to work, because of the issue of fuel and how much they spend on fuel on a daily, weekly basis compared to how much they used to. Some of them actually have stopped driving their cars to work.
Ah, interesting.
So we can't look at this conversation. It's nuanced, really.
Yeah, I
For some
understand.
people who stay on the island, who stay closer to the office, they don't mind. Like, it's not gas that'll stop me from coming to, do you understand, or getting my car grant and buying a car. But for some other people, it really does.
Yeah, I get you.
So, again, it's not nuanced. It's not a one-size-fits-all, right? Considering the fact that if a company gives you a grant today for a car, realistically, how much will that be? And what car can that? How long will it take you to pay back?
Great. I think that by the power vested on me as the moderator of this conversation,
Please answer.
I'm going to I'm going to close that part of this conversation by saying that I think it's three very important things. And I think when I taught a class on commission benefit, I mentioned this. One is what's the company's paying power. Two, which is the most important fact of this conversation from both of you, is to think about what matters to companies the most. For instance, right now, if you are thinking of like maybe buying your staff like solar, that's probably like a forward-thinking benefit, right? So what's the demography of your employee? What do they need the most right now? What is their social status? I think that social status is a big deal, right? And how does you giving them a certain benefit enhance their social status? Also, it's one of the reasons why I love, what PaidHR does, because one of the things they do is to actually manage custom benefits that you have in your organization, and they also design like custom benefits. They even have, an exciting product called End-Wage Access, where you can disburse different unique kind of benefits without any extra cost on you. So check out PaidHR. So my last question before our director kicks us out is, what do you think? So yeah, I don't know. Have you guys heard of the term anti-perks before?
Like anti-perks?
Yes.
No, this is my first time.
So learning. Thank you, Seb.
Thank you, Emmanuel.
Great. So so just a practical illustration is doing happy hour for employees that are not happy.
Oh my God.
That's an anti-perk, right? So it's literally perks that looks exciting but are not achieving their desired target, right? So what are your general thoughts? I mean, you guys have heard from me, but like, is that a situation you can relate to? What are your general thoughts about?
I saw this meme was it on LinkedIn or on Twitter, where they're like, your employer gives you another box of pizza instead of giving you a raise or something.
Instead of giving you a raise at work, buy them pizza and ice cream.
Give you a box of dough. I think in a good work environment with an employer that genuinely cares about you, they're proactive, right, to see the things that you need. And secondly, they hear from you. So at the point where it's like, we don't know, or we may assume, let's hear directly from these people. What do they think, would make their lives better, easier? That's the best way to go about it. Not buying pizza when we don't need pizza.
Great. That's what you want to make it.
No, I think
you said it all right. I don't think I can get that image.
I kind of just found it really funny.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you've been with us, thus far, this is the Out of Office podcast brought to you by PaidHR, where work meets talk off the clock. So one last, not a question, is what do you have to say? One, to founders and maybe to employees. Just one last word.
To founders, I would say listen to your employees, right? To get the best out of people, to get the best out of people who work for you, it's very important to also make sure that, they have the right benefits to make them optimal, to make them more productive. So yes, make sure you have the right benefits in place to make sure they're more productive.
Yeah, thank you very much. Dapo, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I would. I guess to founders and employee, what I would say is the relation. There is a social contract that allows that relationship to turn out into a win-win situation. Both sides of the party have to fulfill their part of the contract, right? As an employee, you have to bring your best self to work. You have to see the company like your business. You have to have an owner's mindset. Like I always say this everywhere I talk, like nothing trumps an employee that has an owner's mindset. And a lot of people also want to feel like, oh, if I show that I have an owner's mindset, they will think I'm putting the company on my head. But it's literally your company. That's the company that is paying your salary. So you have to always approach work in that company as if it is your father's company or as if it is your own company. That's what makes you a great employee, and that's what's going to naturally motivate you. As an employer, right, your own social contract too is your social contracts to the employees, because these employees, these are people that they could be spending their lives doing something else, but they've dedicated a productive part of their life to help you attain this mission. Some of them even said yes to you at the expense of other businesses that are willing to pay them more. But because they believe in your mission, they believe in what you're trying to build, they have offered themselves to, work for you. And so it's in your best interest to make it worth their while. It's in your best interest to, as much as possible, try and be transparent and just look out for their interests. That's what I think.
No, I mean, this has been a very rich conversation, just talking about benefit beyond the basics, benefits of benefits, and of course, anti-packs.
Great.
Right?
I think I would double down on what he said about the ownership mindset for employees. It's also really important. You know how certain people will make jokes and be like, oh, it's not my father's company. Really, you need to carry it that way on your head, right? The best teams that make things work, make things move fast, are the teams that know why we are here. And we're all working together. We all know we have a stake in this. We all know we have shared responsibilities. And we are actually carrying it like our business, because it is our business. So yes, what he said about, employees and employers having a social, pact, it is very, very true, very important. Yes.
Yeah, so make where you work your business while you're still there. Great, and do your best work. Thank you very much, Dara. Thank you very much for Dapo. This was a really rich and exciting conversation. If you're still listening to this is the Out of Office podcast, brought to you by PaidHR. Step back in when you're ready, but for now, stay out of office. And I remain your host, Emmanuel Faith. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us, Emmanuel Faith.